This is Dabu 7. We have breaking word out of Kansas City that the Kansas City International Airport has been placed on lockdown. Evacuations underway right now. There's very little detail about this event at the moment, but the airport officials investigating a threat, they say, to this international airport. So people are being funneled out of here rather quickly by law enforcement. Anyone that's looking to go here to catch a flight, you need to know that there's a heightened security alert at the airport. We don't really know what's going on at the moment. Again, they're tight on the details, but they're saying there is a security situation there where the FBI is working to substantiate any potential threat. So there's different units on the ground. Apparently the FBI already there, which is, But anyone looking to catch a flight, you can guarantee the flights are going to be delayed at this point with all this going on. So as I get more information, I'll continue to update. Make sure to follow me on X. That's where I'm kicking out most of the updates. If you're there, if you have anything on this, if you're experiencing anything connected to this, let me know in the comment section or email me dabu7@yahoo.com and join us for the New Year's Eve live stream tonight on Dabu77. Hope to see you there.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to apostles and elders of great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel broad looking up to stand of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Real quick, Salakia. Man, blowing my nose. Anyway, real quick, it's going to be a quick lesson. It says Kansas City International Airport on lockdown. All right. It says airport officials are investigating a threat at the Kansas City International Airport on Wednesday morning. It says the Kansas City Aviation Department is aware of the situation at Kansas City International Airport, which is MCI. Police are working with the FBI to substantiate any potential threat. It's not on CNN. It didn't make the mainstream news, at least as of yet, to my understanding. But this is the new airport. I think they redid it maybe like 3-4 years ago. And it's so weird because this morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, because I stay maybe like 10 to 15 minutes from the airport. I stay not too far from there. But I can see the flight paths over my house. So I can see when planes are kind of stationary in the sky waiting for the controllers to tell them to land and all this other shit. Because, we're right over a flight route. But 5 o'clock this morning, there was 2 planes that was sitting adjacent to my window. And, it's pretty common. They dock in and out. And then, they get their orders to come and land. But I haven't seen any planes in the sky for the last 4 or 5 hours. And then this come about. So it makes all the sense in the world. But we don't know. We didn't hear anything about a bomb threat. We didn't hear anything about anything else. And I was reading the comments, and somebody said that it's another government psyop, which I can believe that because they got the World Cup coming here in 2026, which this will be one of the cities that host the World Cup. You're gonna have different countries, like you have a lot of people from Europe here. People from different parts of the world is going to come in and they're set to make buku money. But I was reading in the comments too that they may stage a particular attack. And that make all the sense in the world because, you got a city like Kansas City hosting the World Cup. That's kind of different, outside of the norm. But also they've been putting hundreds of millions of dollars into these infrastructures, building up new high rises, apartments, hotels, redoing the streets while the citizens here suffer. But, hey, something is going down, man, because we know that they want to introduce a new tracking system, too, which we call under the skin surveillance, which will be the MOT to the B. All right. So we don't know what's coming of this, but I just found it interesting that they have a lockdown and they didn't announce it on the news. And then the FBI is all over the scene. So that's something to, keep your eyes open. But anyway, reading the comments. It says, my daughter's at the airport is locked down. They have new deletion vest. To their strap on, they could get a metal detector. But there was one comment I was reading. It says, buckle up, folks. God only knows what all is going to happen in 2026. And 2026 is going to be a year like another. Okay, we can see economic collapse. Gold and silver is soaring. Silver, last time I checked, was damn near $85 an ounce. The last time I purchased silver, it was like $25 an ounce. $25 an ounce. And that was roughly, silver jumped up earlier this year. You know, roughly maybe a couple months ago, because I checked last year, maybe in the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024, but silver was roughly $26 an ounce. It fluctuated between $23 and $27 an ounce. Okay, as we know that the currency is being devalued. Now, what people don't understand is that they say prices are getting higher. Well, prices are not getting higher. Okay, you have something which is called, you got stagflation, you got inflation, you got shrinkflation. Okay, inflation, which means that because the dollar's being devalued, the price of goods appears to be more expensive, but that's not necessarily true. It's because the money is being devalued, so your currency doesn't have the purchasing power that it once did. So back in the day, you may be able to buy 4 bags of Doritos for $1 versus today, 2 bags of Doritos will cost you $1.25. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, the dollar has decreased in value. Now, shrinkflation, when you don't have the necessary quantity of a particular product, like a bag of chips now, you may have like a 99-cent bag of chips, which used to be the big bag of chips, and 75% of it is air. And yet the product is very minute. You know, shrinkflation, meaning that you're not getting what you're paying for. They go down on a commodity. You know, and then you got stagflation, or like you got wages that's like stagnant, like the price of living has went up dramatically because of the devaluation of the dollar, but people's wages have remained at a standstill for the most part. You know, $26 an hour may have been, you know, a livable wage in 2012, you know, but to adjust the cost for inflation, that's still not enough money. So it's still like you're making $15 an hour, even if you're making $30 an hour, because the dollar has gotten weak. And I say that because this is all part of their psychological operation to bring in this new system. So we don't know what they're doing with the airport. We don't know if it was a bomb threat. We don't know what, but allegedly there's a media blackout on it for whatever reason. We don't know. But Esau is doing something, man. Okay, so it says with the FBI being there, I'll be super aware. Another government psyop. It says, let me guess, they're also running a drill concurrent with the actual terror activity. It says, my instincts kicked it to overdrive yesterday, and they're telling me to stay out of any big gatherings, especially in cities. And you know what? That's wise, man. Okay? It says a new flu strain emerging. And another thing, too, the World Cup is coming here next year. It will be wise, you know, and I'm speaking to brothers, you know, in my particular camp. It's not that many of us, but it'd be wise to stay away from those events, man. Yeah, this city is going to be crawling with people. They're building up new jails and shit to house people that may get out of line. But it'd probably be wise if brothers kept their distance from all the shit going on in the city, because, I mean, something can really go down here. Because Kansas City is a flyover state, you know, very prominent city, but not too many people really talk about it because it's considered a flyover city. But there's a lot that go down here, okay? It ain't just tumbleweeds and farms and Dorothy, okay? You know, people seem to get Kansas City, Missouri mixed up versus the state of Kansas itself, even though it's right next door. There's a difference between Kansas City and Kansas City, Missouri, which realistically is all one big fucking landmass. But if you're on the Missouri side versus the Kansas side, then people would speculate, oh, there's a difference. At the end of the day, man, Yahweh Shimi Hawashai is getting ready to close the doors on this place. And he couldn't do it quick enough. That's my carnal opinion. All right. But it says, sounds like they're planning terrorist attacks for this upcoming year. Maybe. It says it was a bomb threat at Terminal 8. It says virtually every one of these things that happened in the U.S., deep state doing it and them pointing the finger at someone, they don't, slimy and deceitful. So, yeah, I mean, you know, whichever comes. It says it was a bomb threat in Terminal 8. And people are catching on to it, man. They're catching on the psyops. And as we mentioned, New Year's Eve, they shut down a lot of celebrations because of this very purpose alone. People was getting death threats, bomb threats, terroristic activity. The FBI allegedly is warning people to stay indoors and to not go out into these crowded venues. But it says the new start of New Year's troubles. Prepare for mass casualty events. Stay away from crowds if you can. Oh, also, another thing too. I remember a list came out years, matter of fact, maybe last year, earlier this year, and they was talking about all the major cities that was on record to have some type of national terror threat, and Kansas City was one of them. Okay, like I said, it's a flyover state, so it's not really talked about like that. But a lot of shit go down here. It says I'm in KC and the news just now covering it. And all the clearment have already been issued, not sure yet. So either way it goes, it looks like Esau was on something. But regardless of that, how about Shimei Shai? He's moving. And remember that old film from the 70s or so where Kansas City get nuked? That was it not World of Worlds? It was The Day After Tomorrow, I believe. Yep, The Day After. I think it was the movie. Yep, they actually had Kansas City on there and they got hit with a nuclear weapon. That was an old movie, came out like in the 80s, called The Day After. And Kansas City definitely got hit by a nuclear weapon, which, this whole place is going to get hit. So, not singling it out, but Kansas City is part of Babylon. It's all going to get destroyed. But anyway, quick precept. Job 27, and I'm going to start at verses 13. It says, this is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty, which is judgment. It says, if his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring should not be satisfied with bread. But those that remain of him should be buried in death, and his widows should not weep. Yeah, because his women, they don't want nothing to do with him. They're happy that he's going down. But it says, though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver, right? Because we're going to get our substance back. It says, he builded his house like a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. But the rich man shall lie down, but he should not gather. It says, but he should not be gathered. He opened his eyes, and he is not. And the point is, in 20, terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest stilleth him away as the night, right? Terrors, because this man has terror threats all around his society, man. That's why the scriptures say that terror should make him afraid on all sides. But it says the east wind carried him away, and he departed as the storm hurled him out of his place, which is that destruction. For the Most High should cast upon him and not spare, and he will fain flee out of his hand, and men should clap their hands at him and should hiss him out of his place, because this world is going to rejoice when you go down. So all these particular psyops that they're staging is nothing more but Esau getting ready to go down, man. Okay, because how do you establish a country by iniquity and by blood, and yet you can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor because you're constantly under threat because of your dealings in the world? That's why the Most High is getting ready to take you out of power, okay, because you are a physician of value. Psalms 94 and 20, it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which flameth mischief by law? Yeah, because they use certain of these attacks to be justified on pushing legislation to shut up certain talking points and to push certain narratives on people. Okay, like I said, they said that they had a bomb threat in Kansas City, which is not surprising. But at the end of the day, how do we know that that's substantially true? Okay, who can validate those sources outside of their own media? Because they're not going to let you and me in there. Okay, they're not going to let the private media in there. They're not going to let investigative journalists that don't have any nefarious purposes for the New World Order up in there to see what's really going on. So they can easily say, well, yeah, we caught Ala Mujib in terminal number 7, getting on plane 144, getting ready to head back to Saudi Arabia. They can say that and push it on the news, and people will eat it up because they control both sides of it, But it says here, they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, which is us, and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge. And he should bring upon them their own iniquity, and should cut them off of their own wickedness. Yea, Yahweh, thy power should cut them off. So you getting caught up out there, man. The scriptures say that you are caught into the... Matter of fact, let's get that in Job real quick. I think it's Job 18. Of Job 18:5, it says, the light of the wicked should be put out, and the spark of his fire should not shine. And the light should be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle should be put out with him. Okay, your new world order is getting ready to crumble. It says the step of his strength should be straightened, and his own counsel should cast him down. Yeah, your whistleblowers. It reads, for he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. Yeah, because you're setting traps that you're falling by. Okay, one thing about it, like when you set claymores, you got to have intel on where you set your bums, because if not, you're just going to get taken by one, man. And that's exactly what you're doing. Okay, your attacks, your DT plans are all, it's sloppy, man. Okay, and it's all falling upon your head, and you getting caught out there. Everybody is picking apart your psyops, bro. So you're done. That's why the scripture said has wisdom vanished out of teeming. Because, I mean, you getting sloppy, E. All right. It was to a point in time that, and he always been sloppy, but see, we didn't have the internet readily available to expose his ass. So now we have the internet and we got the concept of these smartphones. People are recording things and they're putting shit together and they're like deciphering, Esau's wickedness, man. All right. Obadiah 1, and I'm going to start at 6. It says here, how are the things of Esau searched out? How is his hidden things sought up? Yeah, you've been exposed. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There's no understanding in them. Your own allies are coming against you. It says, should I not in that day, says Yahweh, even destroy the wise man out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Yeah, because like I said, you're sloppy. And thy mighty men, O Teman, should be dismayed, and to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Okay? So anyway, I'm going to end it. All praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will you are edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.